Hi, this is Paul. I'm going to do a quick demo of a tool I've written called cmon. Basically the inspiration behind it was to try and maximise how we can use the Manager Prometheus data that Ceph provides. Ordinarily you can access that data through the Prometheus UI or through Grafana, but I thought, well, what could we do from a CLI user's perspective? How could we make best use of that data? And cmon is one I came up with. So let's take a look at cmon. So the way that I've done this is to package cmon as a container. So you don't need to install anything on your environment, you just need podman or docker. And then what I do is I set up a command alias so we can see some of the sort of parameters here. We're setting up the Ceph URL, Prometheus URL, and we're doing some volume bindings. So the cmon just needs access to the HTTP endpoints of your manager environment and also of Prometheus. The Prometheus element is completely optional, so if you're running a Ceph cluster without Prometheus, not to worry. You don't need access to the Prometheus server as long as the Manager Prometheus module is actually active. So let's take a look and see what cmon looks like. So these are the core panels that you'll see. So basically these are things which I thought would be of interest to everybody all the time. So what is my inventory, how many daemons am I running, what are the state of those daemons? So we can see there we've got 3 mons that are up. We've got one manager, coloured yellow. Obviously that's a bit of a HA problem, that's why it's yellow. So we have the inventory on the left hand side. We can also see in there the number of hosts that have been detected, and that's basically just by looking at the Prometheus data stream. And then we have some current sort of state in terms of capacity, health, and performance. So that's the basic view, and then there's a help page. You look in the bottom left, you can see use H for help. So let's use H for help and see what it tells us. So we can look at the way in which we use the tool with the core panels, but then we can extend the core panels with these additional visualizations. So we've got additional commands to look at active alerts from Prometheus, IO load from Prometheus, a breakdown of pools with the letter P, the performance data for RBDs, so that's the R command or subcommand, looking at RGW instances, again from a performance standpoint, we can see those, press G, and then finally we have Ceph CLI interaction. So if you remember when I showed you the alias definition, there is a volume binding. So on this particular host I've got my ceph.conf and a keyring in a special directory, and then I'm passing those through to cmon so it can use those to give us a CLI. So that's the help. So let's look at see what we can see. So let's turn on I. So this is the IO load overview of the last 15 minutes. So we can see that we've got IO load. I wonder where it's coming from. So we can look at pools. Okay, so we can see I've got 2 pools. Obviously this is a very lightweight cluster, but we've got a pool called RBD, and we can see that that's the one driving the IOPS demand. We can also see some other interesting stats for each of the pools, again coming from the Prometheus information, so we can tell whether a compression's on or off, for example, and whether or not the health of the actual pool is okay or not. So for example, if you're into a situation where the PGs are in a particular pool are in a recovering state, then it's going to show that kind of information in that pool view. So that's the P option to look at pools. So we know that we're doing RBD, so what is actually going on for RBDs? So here is the RBD which is generating my load. So this again is coming from Manager Prometheus. So we can see which RBD pool, which particular image, and what the performance that image is actually getting from Ceph's perspective for that workload that it's running. So turn off that, and we can turn off the pools for now, and then we can look at the RGW gateways. If you've got no gateways, as I don't, then that's all we're going to see. the other one to touch on is the alerts. So that, again, this is coming from the Prometheus instance. So it's active alerts. So if you have Prometheus rules that you've defined, then they would also show up in here. And if you click into the table, then you can scroll down and look at each individual issue. As you can see, my issues are related to InfiniBand network ports. Let's get rid of alerts, and then finally, I'll put pulls back on. Finally, let's look at the CLI. So here's the CLI. So if we do ceph -s, obviously this is using the volume binding for the conf and the keyring, so we can see what's going on. And all the time the background is refreshing, so the performance stats are updating, and any changes to state in terms of daemons are also going to be reflected in the background. And if we look at ceph launch host OS, we can see there's our 3 hosts. Okay, and once you finish with the CLI, Control D as normal pulls you out again, and you're back to where you were. And Q to quit. Okay, so that is the cmon tool. Maybe it'll be useful to you. This is where you can get the source code and have a look and see how it works. And that is the location of also the container on Docker Hub. At the moment, I'd be tempted to use the devel release as of September 2021. But I'll be merging the current set of changes in devel into main quite soon. Anyway, hope this was useful. Have fun with Ceph.